our friends over at Manscaped.
Gotta pay the bills, right?
Gotta pay the bills. The leaders in below the waistline grooming. You know, the ones that keep our delicate twins nice and smooth. That keep all the grooming places where hair grows. You know, where that hair is tamed. We like that. We like that a lot. And we know that they are supporters of our movement in terms of how we like to always blast off. They always clear us for takeoff.
They made that just for us.
Come on. They know we are supporters of the galaxy. They know we love to go out there and go and you know, let's visit Mars. Let's visit this planet. Let's go check out Pluto. I mean, even one of the guys' names is Pluto, right? So we love that. And Manscaped are big supporters of that. But as we always talk about with Manscaped, they don't just show us love, right? Because they could always just send me and you performance package 4.0s, right? And we talked about it in the giveaway last week where we gave away performance package 4.0s, travel bags, lawnmower 4.0. Awesome stuff, by the way. Awesome stuff. But we always got more for you, all right? So today it comes in the form of a promo code, as we always like to talk about, with that promo code being MOATS. Use the promo code MOATS, 20% off plus free.
That was some good music. I like that.
You see it right there?
Yeah.
Hey. It was copyright free right there. So we're good. But with that being said, man, shout out to Manscaped, man, for always showing love. And make sure that y'all, you know, take care of them delicate twins, because they will be grateful for you when you take care of them.
The topics are going crazy, and the you know how we do get it off our chest here. People are really getting it off their chest on the phone lines with the radio show and stuff that you're doing. So we wanted to bring it up briefly. Yeah,
we said, man, you know what? Anytime something is extra spicy like that on the other shows, I always feel like, hey, man, we owe it to the YouTube crowd, this group in here, because y'all are always die hard. So we say, you know, we'll bring it to y'all, man. But the biggest thing that I've been hearing, right, is just either a lack of trust in officiating, because now you're creating something else for them to have to deal with, something else for where human error could go wrong in terms of these judgment calls and stuff like that. But then you hear the other side where you're saying to yourself, well, we're trying to prevent things from escalating. We're trying to prevent a malice in the palace. We're trying to prevent, you know, a stain on how things look. Or even when I thought of us Pittsburgh Steelers versus Cincinnati Bengals during that Vontaze Burfict time and stuff like that, how some of the taunting initially is what created that, and then how it grew and was a lot more than that as it progressed from there. And I was thinking about all those things. I'm just like, yeah, y'all bring us some good points now. I can understand that. I can definitely understand that.
But what they're calling is absurd.
Yeah, you saw it, right?
Yeah. I got it up on YouTube. It says shocking taunting penalty, Panthers versus Colts preseason. It's by the running back on the Colts, Benny LeMay. Makes a really nice play. He got like an extra 10 yards just moving
carrying
the pile.
The guys, yeah.
And then he gets up. I don't even think his celebration was intended for the player. Yeah. I think he was just amped up, and he turned around and just like put his I don't know, flex on a little bit, pumped the biceps. I got a great comment though on this.
What you got?
The first comment on this YouTube channel. This is amazing.
Yeah, what is it?
After the play, excessive joy, 15-yard penalty, repeat down. That's an amazing comment. But I'm sure a lot of people in the chat and who's watching has seen the play. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So my whole thought on that thing, I got two different views of it, because like that play in particular, I can see why they threw it, but I hate that they threw that, if it makes sense. Like in the sense of when the play happened, the guy was hyped, but when he stood up, when he flexed, he is facing in the guy's direction, right? I don't even think he acknowledges the guy, but he is in his direction. So if you're the ref, I don't like how eager he was to throw it. But in the preseason, from my experiences and what the NFL has communicated to us as players in the past, whenever there's a new rule or a new point of emphasis, they call it a ton in the preseason. Even if they don't agree, even if they don't think the call was necessarily right, they call it, because what they'll do is in 2 to 3 weeks, right before the season starts, they're going to go around and send out film to every single organization and say, hey, these are examples of what you can do. These are examples of what you can't do. And even if it was called wrong, they will even highlight that in the video for those players. So I get that part. I just hate to see it actually called. But I guess when I think of this, you know, taunting situation, the biggest thing that I can see is that the NFL is trying to look at in terms of like the brand, the NFL, and just protect that, because with taunting, we know it can easily escalate. If I taunt you you're going to want to taunt me back. And then I'm going to want to taunt you back. We'll keep going back and forth, right? But we never really know where that line stops at, where it's drawn at. And two examples that I bring up, right? We think of the Super Bowl, Antoine Winfield. Now, we remember early on when the Chiefs had played the Bucs, Tyreek Hill gave Antoine the peace sign, but it was still in the field of play like how it normally is. Nothing egregious. We've seen him do it a million times, right? Nothing wrong with that. Super Bowl, Antoine Winfield, when he does it, remember, it wasn't in the normal field of play. He went and looked them up, right? Where you at, Tyreek? Now I'm a piece you, right? So even in that sense, wasn't the craziest of a violation, but you could see where he was trying to one up him, right? So he took it to the next step. Now, in that case, it was harmless. No harm, no foul.
Because to be honest with you, I actually really appreciate that.
Oh, and fair enough, right? Fair enough. But you appreciate it because Antoine just responded with the peace sign, right? Now, if Antoine would have responded with a middle finger, if he would have went over there and grabbed...
That's a whole different scenario. No. In this case, in particular, I thought it was fine, especially with Tyreek Hill doing it. It's like, bro, all right, we got your number here.
So I'm with you, but just hear me out. In that situation, Antoine responded, but he responded in a way that, people felt comfortable with. It wasn't too much, right? But then I think of this would have been 14 season, right? 15 season. This is when Vontaze Burfict hurts L. Bell, right? On our sideline, pulls him down. We know it was dirty. Looks over to us, lets us know it's dirty. Let's know, yo, what hurt your boy Flex on his taunting, right? So from then, our mentality was, okay, well, we're going to knock one of your guys out now. We're going to hurt one of your guys. And you remember how every game went, Pittsburgh and Cincy, during that time frame. How many people you saw going to sleep? Plenty of people, right? That's a reaction to the taunting as well. So that part was where I'm like, Antoine Winfield, it was easier, it was lighter, more acceptable. Our way, it went a little bit darker. We saw guys going to sleep on both sides, right? We saw AB go to sleep and they flexed and celebrated on him. We saw Juju put Burfict to sleep and flex celebrated on him. The NFL, though, they don't want that. Because as a whole, it's bad for the brand. It doesn't look good when we over here taunting on dead bodies, essentially, right? And that's the extreme part. That's the other side of it where I'm like, at least with Antoine, he responded, but he didn't go all the way there. But my thing is, I caution because you just don't know how people are going to respond. We've had that conversation before as well in terms of how I might respond to a taunt might be different how you might respond to a taunt and so forth and so forth. But I think the NFL, they're really just trying to protect it from getting out of control. They're just trying to make
a blanket call on it.
Yeah.
And there's going to be shit probably fans aren't going to like about it.
Yeah.
Being the Tyreek Hill, Antoine Winfield situation. Like, that's like funny to me, dude. But like, if you're getting a 15-yard penalty, like Claypool's doing his stuff, like, I'm going to be a little pissed off about that. But you bring up a perspective I hadn't even thought about at all. So I appreciate that at least.
No, well, because that's, just my old curmudgeon self, I guess. Not playing. But that is like the perspective I always see, because for me, it was different, right? Being able to actually like be a part of that and remembering mentally where we went as soon as that happened. I mean, in person, social media, everything. It was a bad situation right there. And it all started because of the time. And then from there, you just keep one up and keep one up and keep one up. And until you ask yourself, where does this stop at? Where are we going to? Can I remember this? No lie, Peasy, Joey Porter, man, the peacemaker in the situation. Because we keep going back for trying to one up each other. Each team trying to one up each other, right? Got to the point where Peasy's like, yo, we, had our mindset we were going to do something that probably wasn't the best career-wise, image-wise, stuff like that. He gives us this conversation of, yo, y'all got to stop because you got to draw the line somewhere. Eventually, it's going to lead to...
Peasy of all people.
Because Peasy, speaking from experience, he's like, bro, I've been here before where you keep going back and forth. And before you know it, you're fighting in a casino, As we've seen with Peasy. But Peasy gets it in. We know that's my dog right there. But it took that conversation for us to really think about it and like, yeah, you kind of do bring up a point because, us as athletes, we're ultra competitive. We never want to get wound up. And we always want to take it that next. Okay, you peace sign me. Okay, well, I'm going to flick you off. Or you flick me off. Okay, I'm going to kick and get nuts. Or you kick me in the nuts. Okay, well, I'm going to spit in your face. And then see where we just keep going.
That stuff would be getting called anyway, though, correct?
But not always, though, right? Because you think about Claypool stuff. That wasn't getting called. If we think about
I don't want it to get called, though, still. I really don't. Like the Winfield Hill situation and Claypool stuff, I don't think it should be called. Dicey. I really don't.
That's dicey, though, because it's a slippery slope. That's how I think of it, man. If Antoine decided that, hey, instead of responding with the piece, I want to respond with a middle finger, that's different, right? We wouldn't be as understanding of his response.
That's my question. That's my question to you, though. extremes that you're talking about, does that simply get all taken away because of their new taunting rules?
To an extent, yes. I think because of the intent, they're going to try to just discourage that behavior, not celebrating, because there is a difference, right? And I think we could all agree, celebrating, we are 100% behind. Team celebrations, we love it. Man, you think about how often we would love seeing Juju, L. Bell, AB doing crazy group celebrations. We're 100% behind. Even Belichick, for crying out loud, he loves celebrations. But taunting, that's the difference, right? And we know that fine line between us celebrating. Me and you could celebrate, and it could be a person right there, and we have zero to do with them. Me and you, we just celebrate, right? But we also know that, hey, we could easily taunt this person if we take our celebration and direct it to that person, right? And that, to me, is what the NFL is trying to just get rid of. They want, hey, celebrate. Cool, absolutely, man. You're supposed to. But the taunting, that's what they want to get rid of, because they know it's only a matter of time before somebody reacts differently. Somebody takes it and we all say, oh, you crossed the line. But to that person, they're like, nah, they wrong me. Hey, man, you told me I could do what I want. You open up that door. And that's the thing I think the NFL really just wants to like prevent from happening.
Okay, let's see how they call it in the regular season.
Yeah.
Because obviously if they call what they did in that Colts game, that's absurd.
That's the part, right.
But if you're saying that they're trying to do it way more frequently, that's just so they can get a gauge on what should be called and shouldn't be called. Let's see how they call it. Let's see if they do anything to Claypool, throw a flag on him and cost us a game. If that's the case, I'm going off. But.
So check this out, though. Do you remember when they first put in, if you lower your helmet as a running back, it's a 15-yard penalty?
I don't even remember that.
So they did that. That would have been, it was around that 15, 16 time frame as well. That preseason, they would call it every single time a running back would drop their head to run a guy over, flag, right? And then as soon as the regular season hit, man, you never saw that call again.
Why did they do that? Was that after the Bell Thanksgiving game where his helmet flew off? That was bullshit too.
But that's how the NFL operates, right? If something happens on a big scale where a lot of eyes are on it, they're going to say, hey, how can we adjust this thing, right? Talk about defenseless receivers. Think about how they've altered that rule. Catch, no catch, how they've altered that. How you could hit a quarterback, land on them. They've changed all of these rules whenever someone of significance or on a big scale has something happen to them where the mass is looking at it. And that's kind of what this situation is, but it all stemmed from that whole Super Bowl thing right there, man.
I get it. Yeah. I appreciate that stuff though, like Brady and Matthew going back and forth.
But we appreciate it because it stayed right there. And
that's what I take it as, because it did.
See, I've took it as Tyrann Mathieu knew he couldn't do anything in that situation because of his image. I feel like if that's a different player and if Brady took his helmet and walked over to Vontaze Burfict after a play, you think Vontaze is going to smile about it and walk off? If that's prime Debo, the Debo that we didn't when Debo was on this killing streak, you know that Debo. You think that's going to fly with that Debo? Nah, bruh. That's what I'm saying. You know, like it worked out in that scenario, but we'd be naive to think that that's going to always be the case with all of these players. Not everybody is that mature, man.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, just don't call it in the regular season. That's all. Or don't call it frequently, or make bad calls with it that are costing games, basically. Especially the Steelers.
Now, question. I love what you say. Especially.
Well, I am worried about Claypool. I am a little bit.
That's what I want to know. So now, are you putting that on the referee if Claypool is blatant? Even if you know the rule is the rule now, right? The same different how when we talk about hitting a defenseless receiver, right? We know the rule is, even if we don't necessarily agree with it, the rule is the rule now. So if you see somebody do it, we're all like, bro, come on, man. Like, you got to at least try here. Or if you hit a quarterback, you can't land on them a certain way, right? We're like, all right, we don't like the rule, but we've all had to just adjust to it and make it work. So I got to see how they call it. To me, though, if we know that they're going to be calling it and we see them dudes out there being intentional with it, like how they were at times last year, to me, I don't look at that as a referee issue. I look at that as, bro, you got to just understand this is what we're doing now. You got to adjust to it. That's kind of how I think about it.
We'll see how it's called, because if he turns around and the dude's in the facility and they call it true, or the vicinity, then I'm going to be a little upset, because maybe it's not really intended for the guy, but just because it looks a certain way, the refs are going to do it because this is the new rule, and it could cost the game, and I'm going to be pissed about it.
Hey man, I would definitely be pissed as well.
Let's just see how they call it.
I can definitely understand it, man. Oh, man. But that's going to be interesting, though. Let's see what they talking about in the chat right here. Steel Nation 402 says, well, the rule isn't going to work. I mean, we say that until they throw that flag. Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of Claypool up here for his name, for this rule. Ooh. So you getting a flag? Oh, so Micah Hemp brings up a good question. He says, so are you getting a flag if you point ahead after a first down? No, that's a celebration. That's fine. Now, if you point ahead and it's the defender in front of you and you're intentionally doing it to him, that's where they're going to throw that flag. But from what they've communicated, from all the information that I've gathered, is simply just if it's directed towards somebody. You can still celebrate. You can still get up, do your first down, do your touchdown dances, your sack dances and all of that. It just can't be directed to people. Now, I still get kind of torn though, because I like the whole gladiator feel, right? The one and upper person, but at the same time,
oh, it is what it, because that's what you're doing. It's football.
You see what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh, like, I get it, but
if we're playing, dude, if we're playing in the backyard right now, you're going up against your boy, your receiver versus him. He's cornerback.
Yeah,
he's disrespecting you some way. Oh, you ain't getting a touchdown on me. Doing so, I don't know, saying like,
yeah.
And then you score a touchdown, yeah, you're going to do something back. It just is what it is. It's the nature of the game. It's not something you're taking like that serious, I think, afterwards. You just know in the heat of the moment.
Well, it's different upbringings. We're good. Because I was going to say, I have seen scenarios that have ended very bad just like that, though.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the whole one. But that's just different of cultures, different of backgrounds. There's nothing against it, but I do know I've seen that on multiple occasions where it does escalate because of that taunting. It's still fun, but at the end, you're just like, dang, this could have been avoided. You know what I mean? The mouse in the pouch, for example, right? We've heard about that. We've talked about it. The documentary just came out again about it. And one of the biggest things that Reggie said was, man, the pushing and shoving on the court, that's kind of what started with Ben Wallace and all those dudes. I think it was Ron Artest as well. And then we know when the cup came down from the dude in the bleacher, that's when the whole riot started. But to me, when I think of this taunting rule, I think of them trying to just say, hey, the pushing and stuff, we wouldn't allow that. And if you would have knocked that foundation out right there, does everything else escalate from there? Do the fans get involved? Do the players, like, does it go
I'm actually like 100% on the player side for that, though.
Oh, me too. Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
Hey, you throw something.
Absolutely.
You are test mid-court. Let's go at it. Like,
hey, I
was 100% on the player side with that.
Absolutely,
really
gotta have you, man. Absolutely.
But I get, obviously, the NBA doesn't want that every game. They don't.
Right.
And I could see why, what you were saying, the NFL's trying to set a bar somewhere just so they don't have a certain risk with any of that. Yeah. Now what is the risk as it sits right now? Yeah. I would say like almost zero though to anything like that happening. Yeah. But I mean, I guess if the NFL is trying to be like overly cautious, then it is what it is. I just don't want them costing teams games over something really benign.
Yeah, and I was gonna say with the NBA, I'm sure that they didn't assume that could ever happen until it actually happened. You know, like you think about the highlights from the old school Lakers, Pistons, Celtics, and how they were getting at it. It never like got all the way out of control like that mouse in the palace situation. So I think since then, though, man, like. Yeah, everybody's definitely a lot more aware of it and a lot more cognizant of those type of situations. But I just look at the NFL as them just trying to stay ahead of the curve and keep that situation like, under wraps.
There's no way they're thinking about a mouse in the palace with players and fans, but they might be thinking about something like Steelers Bengals, though, right?
Easily could, man.
But I still even think that's really minimal right now. But like you said, I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to wipe that away from their minds or thought process of the potential of that ever happening. I just hope it doesn't. I hope they're not calling for really benign things. That's all.
I hope so as well. I hope, because that call right there, man, that day going preseason game, that's the one where I'm just like, oh, if you call into that ticky tack, man, we that's gonna get old really, really quick. But from my experiences, it should just be right now because they're just trying to, put a little bit more of an emphasis on it. All right. Going to the chat real quick. Barilla92, shout out to you as well, man. He says, Claypool poll, over or under 5 taunting penalties this season?
Under. 5's a lot.
I feel like
5's a lot. I'm thinking over. Oh, actually, 4's not a bad number. I'd say 3.5. That's 3.5's the number.
3.5's the number. Oh man,
3.5's the number. What are you gonna say? Over under? I think that's the perfect number.
Oh, that is tough. Because if it was 4, I'm with you. I'm gonna go under. That 3.5. Because I know he's gonna get 2. He definitely gets.
I'll say 2. Under. I say it's an even 3.
2. Oh, he's definitely getting 2. 4. Ooh, dude, 4's a tough. He's young though. He's young.
There's gonna be one right off the rip. Like the first two or 3 weeks.
He's gonna have one, bro.
But that's what I'm worried about. I actually think he might be a little cognizant of it, but it's gonna look a certain way to the refs, and they're gonna call it. That's what I'm worried about. Yeah. That is what I'm worried about. There's gonna be a few moments throughout the season. He's just gonna be amped about a play.
Well, and I'm worried about reputation too. With certain players, you know how that can always affect, man. If a guy has like Odell Beckham, for example, right? He has a reputation of celebrating, not even to the sense of taunting, I don't think, but just being loud in terms of his personality, right? How I could just see it right now. He scores and he's doing something. And because it's Odell, the ref is just like, oh, nah, he's taunting. Throw the flag. I could see that. And I will, like, that would be a big time problem right there. But the NFL, I will say, with their referees, we know they're going to have mistakes. We understand that. We don't want robots calling these games. We do kind of like the human element of it. But typically, I feel like with the NFL, for the guys that make the egregiously bad calls, we typically don't see them become like repeat offenders like that. I feel like it's not saying that each game you won't see an egregious call or something be missed, but I never feel like it's the same people over and over. Because I know that was another concern that kept coming up, was like, man, you can't trust these refs, man. They're going to all of them keep messing up. I'm like, I don't feel like they all, not consistently. It's more like the popcorn theory. Like, I might have a call this game. You might have a call next game, even though we're on different crews. But because we're, officials, it just continues to pile on like that.
I'm more pissed about these roughing the passer penalties that they're calling.
I hate those calls right now, bro.
Like that one that they called in the one preseason game on us. I think it was on Bugs, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the opener against the Cowboys.
They've been making those calls these past 2 or 3 years, and they're so bad. Whether it's like crown of the helmet, close to the face mask, they'll somehow call that. Or whenever he just finishes the tackle, all of a sudden they call that like excessive tackling. Yeah. It's bullshit.
I can't stand any of that stuff, bro.
Like those are the ones that consistently get to me. I don't know if it has to do with one ref or another, but every time they call that, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.